Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Organizational Behavior. This section 8 or Chapter 8, depending if you're taking me an online class, face-to-face class, or blended class, or on one of my other websites. So what we're going to be talking today is about improving the performance through feedback, through mentoring. And part of this class, organizational behavior, is not only to understand different behaviors that we want as a company to have our employees exhibit, but also how do we stimulate and reinforce those behaviors, and basically the negative behaviors, how do we kind of get them out of our business culture. Okay, so let's talk about feedback as all. And as a feedback, the policy. When do I do feedback? When do I do private feedback? When do I do group feedback? All that is part of the organizational culture. Some are more open to more feedback to communication, and we call those companies what do you call it? Very transparent. Okay, so we've got instructional feedback, clarify roles or teachers for new behavior. When you come to any class, like this class, you came in, I made you go into Blackboard. I made you, I told you how you would communicate with me. It would be to, what do you call it, to the appropriate email, whether it's at the school that I'm teaching at or whatever. So you already know how you would address me, how would I address you, what are our roles, what's expected from you, and what's expected from me as an instructor. Okay, so we clarified that. And what are your motivations? Reward or promise reward? The reward you get a good grade. Remember, the grades in academics or academia, for lack of better words, are your currency. So if you do if you do good work, I pay you at a higher grade, so you receive more currency, academic currency, which would be a GPA or a grade or so many units for that. So remember, so you only do mediocre and you say, I want an A student, I'm an A student, you have to be able to exhibit those words that work so I could justify that reward. Okay, force is a source of feedback. We always got others. You got a peer, supervisor, lower employees. You see things in the media. You see a lot of other ways that we get feedback. The task itself, oneself. A lot of times we self-serving bias. We always think we're the best, and maybe it's just because that's how we see ourselves, which we should. That's positive thinking. But we have to look at reality. Am I really the best? Is so and so doing more than I am? Am I coveting because that individual has more talent or he's done more work, and I feel jealous, for lack of better words? Okay, and then contain the stars. Okay, behavior outcomes, and here's what we want. Directions. Once I get feedback, it tells me which way I should go. Either I'm going the right way, so if the feedback is good, it's re-encouraging. I am not going the right way, so it's a negative feedback. Here are the consequences. How much effort I will put in. It depends a lot of times how the feedback's presented to me. Not this demoralizing. It's just for improvement. Always the feedback has, and it's a kind of a hard balance. That's what you'll be learning in this class and other classes if you take me for management or for communication. Remember, I always stress marketing and sales. My background is management and marketing. Those two components, you know how to deal with individuals just like you would deal with clients or customers. Persistence and then the resistance. Okay, so that takes care of our feedback. Some non-traditional feedback that we will be talking about. And look, we can see this pretty good, is upward feedback. That's real easy. People, I'm going up to my boss and telling him what I feel. But remember, it's still got to be politically, don't be naive. Don't tell them everything, just like you wouldn't tell your mate or your loved one all the truth. I mean, you would, but if she says, how do I look? And if it really looks terrible, I say, well, it doesn't be coming of you. You know what I mean? You need that glow. Don't say, man, that doesn't fit. Well, you know what I'm talking about, okay? 360 feedback is basically everyone that I touch or I communicate in the company, they basically give me the feedback anonymously. Something like you'll be doing using the CAT-ME system in my courses, and basically doing your peer evaluation from the teams and the teamwork that you're working with me. The traditional appraisal, team-based organization, multiple raters. A lot of times we get multiple interviews. A lot of times when I'm reviewed by also other people that I work with. They said, no, George never really was a good team player, or George didn't do this. Advanced computer technology. A lot of times there's a lot of information on good customer feedback, bad customer feedback, your ultimate goals and your productivity. All that is thrown into what we would consider non-traditional feedback. Bottom-up feedback measures nicely participative. Co-workers and lower level employees, they provide feedback. And then there's more information. Widespread. Team-based, replacing individuals. multiple rater, just to make sure that there's no bias, and then I'm not just giving everyone average, that they actually do deserve the reward. Okay, so you have all these, moving towards management and empowerment. Okay. And the last one, lower employees are said to know more about the manager's strength. Remember, I know more about my supervisor's strength than the people they're working with. The students know more about my strength, taking my classes, taking my online classes, than an instructor who would only come in one time or has a different type of a business relationship or academic relationship with me. Why feedback always failed? Usually feedback we always use to punish. We always say, hey, you did this wrong. We always forget when they're doing something right, or even encouraging them when they're doing right. They're not doing super, but hey, that's a great job. I'm always glad you're so consistent. I can always depend on you. Those are positive feedback, just to let the individual know that, hey, I am aware that you're there. People receiving feedback, it relates to the matter behind their beyond their control. Sometimes I get negative feedback. Say, I can't control it. You tell me I should keep the place clean, but I got dust and windows and those no screens. There's no way I could keep this clean. You have to help me a little bit here. And some of it's true, but a lot of times when we talk about the internal locus of control and external. Internal, I know I've got those issues where one screen is out, so maybe I cover up the one window. You know what I mean? The environment's there, but I'm able to overcome it. I take the responsibility. Where the external locus of control basically is, hey, the environment's there. There's nothing I can do about it. Let's move on. Okay? All right, so that's why feedback fails. Guidelines for feedback. Make sure it relates to existing goals and deliver as soon as possible. Don't wait 3 months and pat him on the back. When he or she is doing a good task, you should be consistent and within that time. I try to make sure I at least see all my crews or all my individuals or my team members at least once a month at other times. So you get a checklist. I saw this one, and not always at the same time. I don't go alphabetically. I'm here. And a lot of times you run into your employees in different types of, if you have a policy, a walk-around manager, you just remember, I just talked to him, hey, you did a good job. And it's these little things that's not formal. It's the informal that comes more from the heart. Be specific on the feedback on things employees can control. Cultivate fair and constructive climate by including positive. You don't want to give it a negative, try to get some positive. But sometimes you can't say, okay, you can be a positive, there comes a negative. And it kind of equals out. So a lot of times I'll give them a negative, and then maybe a couple of days I'll just find them something else, and I'll just reinforce it. So they realize that I'm not looking at them as a whole individual, but I'm looking at the task or the one behavior that is not acceptable. That means 99% of the behavior is acceptable, but through this type of a policy, I'm trying to eliminate or better the individuals that do what we call self-improvement or a learning type of individual, which leads into a learning type of organization. Okay, this one here, I just delete. That was an error. Okay, now, organizational reward. How do I reward individuals? When I look at the reward system, in the reward system, let me make this a little bit bigger. View, where the heck is view? Let's go with 200. Okay, the reward system here, you have intrinsic, and we had that in a lot of other classes. That's the financial, the social reward, the material. This thing's outside. I feel I got a reward, I got a plaque. I could see that. Those are nice, and those I could show other people. It helps on my self-confidence, my morale. It also helps other individuals when they see I got a reward. How come I didn't get one of those plaques? I want a plaque just like George. For being an exceptional employee, the outstanding instructor, or whatever the rewards is. That is what makes it extrinsic, but also motivated for intrinsic and outside. It's building your pride and ego, but to a point. Okay. Now the ones that when you look at Maslow, Hertzberg, everyone that's talking participative empowerment, all of this is inside. You can pat me on the back if I don't feel like I did a good job. Then I didn't do a good job. So sometimes I have to do not only say you did a good job, but always kind of be like the coach, the mentor, and the kind of build up. Some individuals need to hear more of that good praises to keep them motivated, even if they're always doing an average job. They just need that because they just need that self-reassurance. And that's when you take the psychology in our class. You understand, people are unique individuals. They have different ways of thinking, and that's what you have to look at. So intrinsic is the way you're going. Remember the distributions, performance, try to balance it, tangible with intangible. Performance, always, actions, cooperation, risk-taking, team building. Let them know what you're grading them, what you're looking for. Some of them is very objective. Do these tasks on time. Those are easy. You could reward. You do this, you reward them. The other ones is being a team member, helping other individuals without being asked. All those are subjective, but those are still good traits on there. All right. Non-performance considerations, again, is contractual. You'll pay for performance, monetary tied to one's result. And a lot of these are mostly tied up individual and team-based. All right. So that's our distribution, desired outcome. What do you really want? Develop, self, retain, attract, motivate. We all like to reward, do our work and get rewarded. When you're an entrepreneur, it's your business. If you're not successful, you fail. But if you're successful, you get the profits and the name and the recognition and control the environment. As a manager or an individual, you do these tasks and they will reward you, not only for your regular pay, but you go above and beyond because you exceeded their goals. Goals are there to be met, that everyone should meet, so this is where a company is functioning, what I'm paying you for. Above that goal line is basically above and beyond is where you get, what do you call it, bonuses or reward or some kind of compensation. Okay, so positive reinforcement, they're talking about Skinner's for respondent, operant, learned behavior, contingent, positive reinforcement. Positive, we always remember. Let me go this way a little bit so you can see it. Pressing on something positive, and this one basically pressing something negative. Remember, sometimes you try to do more positive, but some individuals it's a balance. You got to give them positive, negative. If I'm going to give them positive, they after a while figure I won't tell them anything negative. But a negative is a learning process. You don't look at it. There's nothing wrong with you. We all have our negative items that we want to take care of. Okay, so you got positive, negative. You have punishment. If you do this, is a negative reinforcement. Here's how you stop it. Is basically what we call extinction. You just don't do it anymore. Or here's the consequences. The other one, extinction, I just ignore it. It'll go away. And sometimes it doesn't really go away. It may hide, but it's never really resolved. And it'll come up at the least or the most inaccurate or inopportune time that you want it to come up. So you gotta take care of it. Other things, continuous reinforcement. Every time you did so much piecework, you get it constantly. Intermediate. I like the intermediate, back and forth. It depends how they did it. Sometimes they did more, but I always try to find a good for the individual, and that also helps when we go into the HR section. Fixed ratio. When you look at reinforcements after a certain after you did so much reinforcement, you get a lot of times in servers and everything else in restaurants. Fixed interval. Every month we have like a job performance. What do you call it? Report, so you know where you're at. And variable, random periods. Okay, I like the variable and the intermediate. All right, so we have that, no problem. And then now shaping behavior. Remember, the whole thing is when you're shaping behavior through reinforcement, and this is the conclusion of this, accommodate the process of behavioral change. I want the company to change someplace, so I start saying you're not going to be rewarded for this task anymore. You're going to get more for this task, and here's how I'm rewarding you. So eventually that task, you're still getting some reward because we're still phasing it out, but you're not getting as much of a reward as you would with the new task. Define new behavior patterns, specifically the processes and your job description and job specification will tie into that. Give individuals feedback on their performance, and that should be regularly. Like if you're taking my class, you always know on Blackboard or whatever course management system, here's what I'm taking, here's where I've accomplished, reinforced by behavior by quickly as possible, and basically if you want to stop it, you got to take care of it right away. Use power of reinforcement really works well. You don't have the money, just even sometimes a pat in the back, just talking to an individual, just having them to vent with you, all that builds on it. So in their mind you're planting, you're rearranging the thought patterns to say, hey, yeah, okay, I could do this. Okay, yeah, so this one didn't work. Okay, George can control this. I can control this. Couldn't pay me, whatever. But he gave me this. He's I like working for this company. I like working with my teammates. Use continuous reinforcement schedule, and that's just a check and balance. You could have the continuous, but always go back and forth if you can. Sometimes your task or your process doesn't make sense for it. And let's say use variable reinforcement. I strongly on that. Reward teamwork. Remember, the team gets to reward an individual depending on how much they contribute to the overall team. You have good team members, you'll get a good reward. To be focused on that. Make rewards contingent on performance and what they can control, and never take good performance for granted. Even good performance, you try to reward them. It could be a cake, coffee. Hey, I really appreciate you. Our numbers are steady, but it's good. We're not going down, and that's just a reinforcement. So no, you could always do better. All right. Again, so that's our sessions here, and we're in session, chapter 8 to session 8, and how do I improve performance through feedback, through 360, through mentoring, through coaching, through talking, through positive reinforcement, through and why feedback fails. All this is everything we've learned. I know this is about like 20, 25 minutes, but this is a classroom just in case we don't cover it in class. You could go back and look at the concept maps and fill in. Remember, any time you use more of your senses, you hear me, you see me, you write, and you write in the additional stuff on the first or second tier concept maps or mind maps I provided you. That is another way for you to take that information, and the more senses you have, the better odds are you retaining it when you need it in case of a disciplinary problem or enforcement, or you're called on for your boss or something. How do you do it? Your mind automatically starts searching your data bank, and the more senses it pulls it back out. All right, again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and thank you for taking this session in organizational behavior course that you're taking me online, face-to-face, or in some other media.